ancestors of Kanakana, they appear in the fossil record about 450 million years ago. Now when you consider that dinosaurs appeared in the fossil record 250 million years ago, these are very, very ancient fish. These fish don't even have jaws. There's no bones in this fish. They don't even have the pectoral fins that normal fish have. They have these two ones on the top, whereas most fish have fins going up the side. This is one of the earliest vertebrates, so it's very, very primitive. They're actually attaching onto the skin of a fish or a whale. They've got two little teeth coming up and working it and sucking off the blood. They've got a really bad sort of rep. They've been marketed as the vampires of the sea, but they're not. They're beautiful creatures and ancient and almost like the fossils of our waterways and should be allowed to be here forevermore.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Hananui toku maunga te rangakaha, ko Waikawa toku awa, te pū koha mō te mahinga kai, ko Waitona toku roto, ki tona i te tuna, ko Ngāti Māku, ko Katikuri, ko Rua Hiki Hiki ngā hapu, ko Ngāi Tahu kati māmoi mi Waitaha hoki iwi. Ko Waiau, ko Blair toku ingoa. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā tātou katoa. For us growing up, a lot of the time was spent up there at night, gathering the kanakana. And that was done usually on a dark night. The kanakana don't like the moon. So if you had a moon, a big moon, a full moon or that, you're wasting your time. And they generally run after a flood, after some rain. That fresh water or the new water gives them a burst of energy to move up the river. So they're just hundreds, thousands of kanakana. So we used to gather them and distribute them to whānau. That was one way that we gathered, and the other way was getting in the river and the holes, because they sleep through the day. They're nocturnal. So you could always pretty be assured of getting a feed in those holes.
So Mahinga kai is one of our 9 tall trees of Ngāi Tahu. It was essential to the survival of our people, and I still believe that it is. I believe that Mahinga kai is one of the things that binds you to who you are and where you come from. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Hananui toku maka, ko Waikawa toku awa, ko Ururau toku waka, ko Ngāi Tahu, ko Kati Māmoe, ko Waitaha oku iwi, ko Stevie Ray toku ingoa. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā tātou katoa.
Stevie's just finished her environmental management degree last year. She's now currently working under Dr. Jane Kitson. She's taken on board a lot of those things that she grew up with, all those customary, cultural practices, and she's able to compile them together with some science, and she's kind of got the best of both worlds, really.
Duncan and Keith, they've been gathering kanakana for probably 50 or so years, maybe more, maybe less. They religiously come out here every year to gather the kanakana. They've taken me under their wing to teach some of the next generation how to gather them in their method, with being in the river and using the hook. Apart from the fact they love eating the kanakana, is that they want to look after that species and they want to know the answers to the questions that pop into their heads. So they do a lot of background work for Jane.
This fishery has declined in numbers, or whānau members are saying there have been less of them around. Science hasn't been able to really monitor the abundance because they're such a cryptic creature. They come out at night and they hide in the banks during the day, so it's not easily found by scientists. You have to have special ways of monitoring them, and the customary methods, because the whānau are out there and harvesting them and gathering them, they're the best methods to actually look at the species. They're a customary fish, they're not a commercial fish, and the people that love them the most and have done the most work with them are the customary fishers. They're pretty much the forefront of actually gathering the information. So this is a fish that's very much loved by the people, the whānau. But these are fossils, living fossils in our waterways now. Very special, and unfortunately they're having a hard time as well, with the numbers going down, with barriers preventing them going to their spawning areas, with water quality issues. And I just wanted to help with them. I am a scientist, ecologist, and also a whānau member. My story here is more in the science role. I felt in some ways that if I can help with the recording of the abundance and research, and help to add some of the knowledge that isn't there about the life cycle of the Kanakana. So they have a very strange life cycle in the sense that they start off in fresh water as a small larvae, looks like a tiny eel, and they filter feed. So they're actually taking the nutrients from the waterways, all the different things in there. Then they go out to sea as a sort of small silver fish that looks very much like this. They've got the disc by then. So it's about 4 years in the freshwater first, 3 or 4, another 4 years out to sea as a parasite on large fish, and then they come back to the freshwater to spawn. And then they're not feeding in our freshwater, and that's why they are so full of fats and goodness when they come in. When they first come into the rivers, they're put a turquoise blue. They're a beautiful colour. So they've come from the sea because they're coming up to migrating now to spawn. And so as they come into the river, it makes sense to start looking like the river. And so eventually, when they've been in the river for a long time, they become brown. So usually when they're a fresh one, they'll be brilliantly blue, turquoise blue, just a gorgeous colour. And these ones must have been in the river just a bit longer. 51, unaffected, middle grey.
I was appointed a tangata-te-aki around 2001, I think it was. So that's like a long time ago. So I guess it's a guardian of a particular area. My area is Awaroa. I guess it's my place, my standing place in my whānau, and I guess it's a responsibility I feel for us to look after the place and allow those things to be still there for the next generations. There's a few different ways people cook them. I myself like them, quite well cooked because they have that gristle in them, and I don't like that chewy sensation, so I like them well cooked. They have a definite kind of fish taste to them. A lot of people think they taste like eel, but I don't think they taste like eel. I'm not sure. I don't know how to describe because there's nothing really that tastes like them. They're really rich. Once I could have ate probably 2 in a sitting, but one would be heaps now for me. You try it.
Just try it, darling.
Just put it in your mouth and try it, and then take it out if you don't want it. Good girl. Yeah. When we're out in the river, for me, it's thinking about those tupuna that they walked in the same footsteps as what we've been walking in their footsteps. So that's pretty special in itself. And then having the next generation like Stevie with me and a tāhua, my moko. So that's really special to be able to stand back out of it and look back in, kind of think, wow, definitely part of my identity, part of who I am and my whānau. We were lucky enough to grow up here and be part of it, so yeah. That old saying, I am the river and the river is me. Yeah, they're good.
This is the best Kanakana region.
Is it?
I don't know what I've been doing.